Well, the beard is getting longer, the hair is still pretty short. I managed to keep out of the sun today, but we just got announced that we've got yet another 2 weeks of lockdown. So it really is another 2 weeks to contemplate where we're going and, tie up a bunch of loose ends. And, one of the things that I spend a lot of time doing is engaging with folks who are going to be on the front line of various translocations of animals. And sustainable translocations of wildlife only really happen for two reasons. It's either to augment a population that's struggling, or it's to re-establish a population that was formerly gone extinct. And I always say that humans can push any species to the brink of extinction, but the right humans can actually bring it right back. And so I thought maybe to explain that even though the actual release of a species, whether it's a giraffe or an elephant or a rhino or a lion, into an ecosystem where the population is too low or where it's actually extinct and you're re-establishing the population, that is the big step. But prior to that step, there's a huge amount of work that's got to go on. There's a lot of science and research that goes on to make sure that it's actually going to work. These are expensive things. And so first and foremost, you've got to have a scientific team go into the landscape that's the destination landscape where the animals are going to move to, and they've got to ask 4 really pertinent questions. Did the animal occur there sometime historically? What made it disappear? Has the threat or whatever change made it disappear, has that been mitigated? Has that problem gone away? And is the landscape okay to put it back to now? Is it something that's suitable? And if you can answer those 4 questions from a scientific perspective, then you're ready to undertake a translocation. So the first thing you've got to do is try and find some animals that are as genetically similar as possible to the ones that used to live in that area. And one of the reasons for that is that we don't know everything about animal behavior. We don't know everything about genetics. And so if you can get as close as you possibly can to the genetics, you are probably going to be replacing the extinct population with a very similar animal to what was once there. The next and most important thing is you've got to find a source of those animals, somewhere which has got either too many, or somewhere where they're under threat, or somewhere where you can actually take a good, healthy, genetically diverse seed population to put into this new area. Because think about it, if you're going to translocate 24 lions into an ecosystem, you want them to be very diverse, unrelated, and very healthy, because those are the seed population from which that entire population is going to explode from there. So you've got to make sure that you find that. So that's step 2. Step 3 is identifying the logistics. There's all kinds of quarantine logistics. There's logistics to make sure that they're actually genetically diverse, to make sure that they're actually healthy, taking blood samples for their health profiles and genetic profiles, making sure that you've got a qualified veterinary team, and then also making sure that you've got all of the permits along the way. Sometimes you need permits within a country to cross provincial boundaries. Other times you need permits to export animals. You need permits to import animals. You need all kinds of veterinary health certificates and all of that. And that's expensive and time consuming. So making sure that the permits are all in place. And then finally the day comes around for the actual move itself. That might be in the case of a giraffe or an elephant in the back of a truck. It might be in the case of a rhino or a lion in an airplane. Needless to say, those are very expensive logistics. And so finding a donor that is prepared to donate and participate in re-establishing this population. Somebody that wants to put their name to something big for conservation and wants to do that. We're very, very fortunate in Kutada 11 to have the Cabela Family Foundation firmly behind our lion project in that area. By being behind the Lion Project, they're also helping with all kinds of anti-poaching and community development, and the benefit is unbelievable. But let's remember, if it wasn't for the Cabela Family Foundation, the lions wouldn't exist there. And so as a foundation, they've re-established a lion population. I mean, that's a giant deal. Having done your translocation, you've now got the responsibility of making sure that you measure whether the translocation was actually successful. So you've got to have a scientific team and a monitoring team in the field for several years until that population is stabilized and you can truly see it's successful. So it's not just as simple as throw some animals in a truck and go and let them go somewhere where there's not enough. It's certainly not that easy. It's incredibly expensive, takes a lot of good science, and takes a very dedicated team. And I have to say, at the Ivan Carter Wildlife Conservation Alliance, we are very blessed to have amazing partners on the front line of our initiatives, to have amazing partners to do the science with, amazing partners to do these translocations with. And so when we tell you a statistic that Giraffe Conservation Foundation have expanded the wild giraffe's home range by over 5 million acres, that's something that we are incredibly proud of. So yeah, I hope that gives you something to think about. Look forward to chatting to you tomorrow, and until then, be thinking how we can expand wildlife and make sure that there's more wildlife and healthier ecosystems into the future.